So to help us explore a bit more about how the state of Oregon is working to ensure effective support is getting every Oregonian back and home, we have with us today Andrea Bell, the Executive Director of Oregon Housing and Community Services. So as Executive Director, Andrea oversees the strategic direction, vision, and growth of the state agency responsible for providing stable and affordable housing. So please join me in welcoming Andrea to the stage.
Good morning, everybody. Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Midday. How's everybody doing? Good. You know, it's always, I just have to say this because we're in good company with each other. It's always a very humbling thing when you see yourself and very blown up on a very large screen, and like a note to self on that. Well, first off, let me say how thankful I am to be in community with each of you today, how grateful I am to be here. Whenever we have the opportunity to be in community, particularly in person like this, it for me always feels like such a gift, and candidly is such a reminder of what I believe are our shared values, our shared values to each other as partners, and I think also our shared values to our beloved communities. So no matter what community you call home, no matter what community you particularly serve in, we're here because we love our state, we love the state of Oregon, we love the people that we serve, and we have a shared duty to those folks. And so I'm always reminded of that. I want to have some really just take a few moments to have just a few really kind of just open generative things to share with all of you. A few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with someone that this was an internal agency conversation that we were having about our disaster recovery work. I'm sure some of my staff that are in the room are probably cringing just a little bit right now to see what's going to come out of my mouth. But in that conversation that we were having about our role, particularly as it relates to disaster recovery, we had this really interesting conversation that got back to risk and risk tolerance, and particularly risk tolerance of the state. Now, I offer that because most people, when they think of state agencies or governmental agencies, you don't think slick, fast, and super efficient and quick. But we had this conversation about risk tolerance because I think what we found, what I have found, is that at all points of the work that we do, which was new to us, really around facilitating whole person care, community care when it comes to disaster recovery, really came to the conversations, decision points, sometimes missteps at the state level around real or perceived risk. I bring up that notion of risk, and it's an important one that I think oftentimes we either don't forwardly bring into the conversation, or sometimes we refrain from just going there directly. But I bring that up because those very decision points, those very opportunities around what we perceive as risk, how it governs our decisions, how it governs our steps, sometimes our missteps as well, that has a direct impact on all of you. So whether you're a community-based organization, whether you're a local government, whether you're a culturally specific organization, wherever your positionality is in service to the people that you serve, the very decisions that we make at the state around flexibility, around real or perceived risk impacts you. And it impacts you in a direct and a distinct way because you were in community having those direct conversations with folks. So when you get faced with a question around when are resources coming, how come this thing that I need isn't covered in this particular funding source, you are the one oftentimes that has to answer that question, not us. And so I offer that to make really clear that the prism by which I show up today, the very clear prism that we show up today, is really with an understanding that through that lens of humanity for the people that we serve, that's insufficient. It is an insufficient way of being. Now, all isn't lost. I think we've seen areas of progress in our work together, but I also want to name here really clearly that there is an inherent mandate. There is an inherent mandate specifically within OHCS, within Oregon Housing and Community Services, where we're going to have to shift the way that we do business in some very real and fundamental ways to be able to not only continue facilitating recovery, but also make sure that we also have a parallel view in front of us about what does a sustainable, human-centered, locally driven and led recovery for the state of Oregon actually look like. And that can't be completely Salem-driven. That can't be completely state-driven. And so I offer that as an inherent mandate for our state agency, but also an opportunity for each of you, for your respective teams, not only in this moment today, but also when we go out to our respective spaces, that each of you have agency, and we need this, for you all to be able to name what you need from us in very specific ways. When we look back at the state of Oregon, when we look at some of the progress that we are most proud of, it hasn't been because of state agencies. That progress has been led, it has always been locally driven. It has always been because of local solutions. It has always been and really bred from folks in community driving that. And so I offer that one so that we can be a mirror of what is possible for recovery, so that we can mirror what is possible in terms of real and fundamental progress. And also know that as part of that inherent mandate, we invite you in and want you to be able to name specifically what you need from us. It's also okay to name where, even when intent is really good, where we have missed the mark. And as we think about the last few years that have been candidly way too long, we think about 3 years. 3 years has been a very, very long time. And I would also say that there are 7 days of the week, and not one of them is someday. And so there is an inherent mandate for the moment that we are in to build and to build together in that. And as part of that rebuilding in all shapes and sizes, when we think about housing, I think most of you probably know the state of Oregon needs housing, and we need it in all shapes and sizes in community. We also know that some of our best, some of our most effective progress has been when it is inclusive progress, when everyone can see themselves reflected in it. Some of our best and most effective progress has been where state agencies can sometimes take a couple of steps back to make sure that we can have community leading in those areas as well. And for us to build progress that is reflective of the needs of our communities as well. So I offer all of that to say a couple of things. We are here today with that prism of wanting to make sure that we have some opportunity for true open generative learning exchanges of each other. We just concluded a very active session here in the state of Oregon where we came out with about $1 billion in housing solutions. $1 billion. And now the work in front of us is to make sure that across the state of Oregon, from our small towns and rural communities to our bustling communities as well, that we have $1 billion worth of progress that people can see and feel in their communities as well. The work that we have been engaged with many of you on has candidly brought me so much hope and optimism for what is possible. Now, I also want to be clear that it is not blind optimism. I see the challenges. I see the areas within our own agency where we're going to need to shift and do business differently. I see the areas within our own agency where we're going to have to challenge and have some continued open and learning conversation around risk, where we're going to have to make sure that within our own agency that we don't define flexibility by our own terms. And then when we show up in communities, say, well, that was not quite what we meant by flexibility. So we have a very clear understanding of what the challenges are. And I believe that we're in this space today centered on the humanity of the people that we serve, because we do not accept homelessness or housing instability as a fact of life for our communities. That doesn't have to be. We also know, and I think candidly have learned in some cases the hard way, that it is often challenging, or in certain cases it feels insurmountable, to pursue progress when there is no relationship, when we have not tended to the relationships over time. And so I offer that and continue to extend that as a commitment, both of this agency to all of you, not just only in this moment, but as we continue to go forward together, that we have a commitment to build and tend to the relationships that we have. And we also know that that sense of community that all of you are fighting for every single day, that you are serving towards every single day, as you look the folks that you serve in your respective communities in the eye every day. We know that sense of community is not just something that we get. We know that it's something that we have to tend to, that it's something that we have to care for in that. And we want you to hold us able and capable to continue tending to those relationships in pursuit of progress as well. So as we conclude our couple of days here, I want to just leave you with a couple of things. Is first, we want you to continue to see us as a state agency, as a government agency. We want you to continue to see us as both a resource and a partner, and hold us to that. We also know that our pure existence as an agency, as a state agency, is we take our mandate from the people of Oregon and from all of our partners in this work together. So hold us to that. We also know we're in a moment where, and candidly, as somebody that grew up in a pretty working class family, grew up pretty poor, we also know what happens when the very bedrock of housing is lost in communities, the flurry that that creates on an individual level, on a community level, and on an economic level for each of our communities as well. And so our pursuit is in terms of, yes, rebuilding housing, and also making sure that we are doing our part to help repair and rebuild families and the economic stability of our communities as well. And so from my seat, I just want to make sure that you all know that we see you. We see the sweat equity that you all have poured into the work that you do every single day. We see the love and the compassion that you continue to hold. And as I look across this room today, I see a few familiar faces that have given us some really honest and constructive feedback about our way forward together as we're rebuilding housing, and know that that has not fallen on ears that are unwilling to hear that. So we are committed to you, we are committed to progress, and we are committed to both the humanity of each of you in your respective areas of serving and the humanity of the people that we serve. Thank you for having us here today. Thank you for letting us be a part of the conversation. There is so much that I could say, but for now, I will just leave you with thank you. Thank you for the sweat equity that you've poured into this work. We appreciate all of your time and energy that you have had with us, and also know that we are in pursuit of wholesale progress and holistic progress that people can see and feel in their communities as well. So I will yield back for the moment and let you all get on with the rest of your day. Thanks for having me.